RPR 180 Literary Practice Test. Ready? Here we go. Having recently moved from the freelance world to an officialship, I find myself without much of a backlog of trial transcripts yet, so I have taken my extra time at work to help transcribe some of the audio recorded transcripts that are used for misdemeanor and civil court in my district. I probably shouldn't agree to work on these at all, but I have nothing better to do, and my wife and I are trying to juggle a student loan debt that qualifies as soul-crushing. I figure if I sell out my soul intact by transcribing a few electronic recordings for the court, rather than let it be forever crushed by student loan debt, I can always buy it back later, right? It's more of an issue of using my soul as collateral on a debt than an actual selling out. If anything, doing the transcripts is allowing me to learn about my competition, which then helps me formulate a better argument for the question of why I shouldn't be replaced by a Fisher-Price tape recorder. I obviously don't want to be replaced, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't keep an open mind in seeking out the honest answer to that question. Maybe the answer is that I really should be replaced by audio recording, trade in my steno writer for a guitar, and start a Spin Doctors cover band. It's possible that the most altruistic plan of action for all of us would be to just tape record everything and have a whole lot of ex-reporter cover bands out there playing semi-obscure music from the 1990s. Maybe the world would be better off. I don't know. If I don't take a real honest look at both sides of this issue, my answer to the question of why my job matters will always be the one-sided logic of the closed-minded. Fortunately for all of us, the answer I've found so far is that I should not be replaced. The audio recordings I've come across are consistently the very train wreck that we court reporters keep trying to convince the world they will be. When the transcripts do turn into a disaster, being involved in the transcribing process gives me the opportunity to insert my own agenda into the discussion. When an attorney sends me an angry email about the fact that the bench conferences, which were intended to be recorded, are left completely out of the transcript, I get to remind them that the electronic recording system is unable to tell them whether it is picking up their voices or not. An advocate of the recording system might take this opportunity to blame the attorneys for not speaking directly into the microphone while at the bench, but I blame the system for not being able to alert them that their whispered voices are not being picked up. I then gently suggest that while they don't love being yelled at by the live court reporter, we yell for a reason, and the alternative is the jumble of inaudibles they have in their hands. I would think the best advocates for court reporters are going to be the judges and attorneys who appreciate our work, and the more we can point out to them the difference between our product and the product of our competitors, the better. When we advocate for ourselves, it's taken with a grain of salt, because we're biased, but when you have a judge saying they'll have to pry his real-time from his cold, dead real-time monitor, it's a much more powerful argument in our favor. I am not, of course, suggesting doing anything unethical. I don't add inaudibles where there were understandable words on the recording, and I put in a great deal of effort to make sense of the record, even when they mumble and talk over each other. But being a part of that process allows me to both see the faults of the recording system firsthand and also to get my own 2 cents in on the situation when it happens. The last job I did was a felony jury trial from a very rural part of the state where they use the recording system solely because there are not enough reporters available in the district. How rural was it? On jury voir dire, the district attorney asked the potential jurors if any of them had ever been in a fist fight. Almost all of them had, including several who had been in knife fights, but the highlight was that 2 of the women in the jury pool had been in a fight with each other, and they both ended up sitting on the jury. Every time there was a bench conference during the trial, the judge would turn off her microphone, as she should have, and the conferences would be off the record. The problem was that after every single bench conference, she did not turn her microphone back on, and so anything the judge said for the next hour or so for the rest of the day was almost impossible to pick up, resulting in both large portions of rulings being lost and the following parenthetical. A conversation was held off the record. After the bench conference, the court's microphone remained silent. The court's voice can be faintly heard through the other microphones in the courtroom, but with difficulty. All right, that will conclude our RPR 180 literary practice test.